War Chief, we've been trudging through this wasteland for a week with nothing to fight but centaurs and pigmen. We need real enemies to test our mettle.
Yes, boredom and the beating sun have put us all on edge. But we must push on. All will be made clear once we meet the Oracle.
As you say, War Chief. Look, Warsaw fans, we are battling humans.
What? Loktar warriors! Hellscream needs help!
Wretched orcs, how dare you follow us to this land?
Save your breath, human. You needed to scream when I start tearing off your limbs. I am.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Warcraft 3.
None will survive.
Well, let's get that Kodo beast in there. I talked about Kodo tag last time, right? Alright, so we're actually going to be doing some base building today. Our first mission of base building with orcs. So we can't get our town hall set up just yet because we have to destroy the human town hall. It's in our way. Now we can. We have everything else going up. Oh no, we can't because Gromm's purple orcs are in our way.
Gromm, what was this about? And how the hell did these humans get here anyway? Same way we did, little brother. Apparently, a frail girl named Proudmoor leads them. Her forces have cordoned off the pass that leads to the north. Well, we must make it through the pass despite her. I'll send our hunters to scout the area while we establish a base. Until then, the humans are not to be touched. Whatever you say, War Chief. Work complete. The spirits are restless.
So you know pretty much right away, he's gonna fucking defy that order. So coming off of Undead, the orc base building and the macroing for orc feels a little bit vanilla, but they still have their own unique flavor. The war mill under construction, actually just finished, has an upgrade on it, which gives you spiked fortifications. So any units, we gotta pull that Kodo back. Want to try to preserve this for as long as possible. So any units that hit your buildings will take damage themselves. And they also have burrows, which act as your food supply buildings, but they also act as bunkers for peons, your workers. So if the base comes under attack, you can hide all of the workers inside of your burrows, and they will throw javelins from the inside. Now, if we're talking thematically, I wish that humans had gotten the bunkers and the orcs had the militia mechanic instead, because it just seems more appropriate. Like, yeah, they're still just workers, but still, like, they're orcs. They should fight, and it feels a little bit like they're cowering inside the bunker, or they're cowering inside the bunkers, rather. Or hiding inside. So they should be outside fighting. Whereas human peasants, it's easier to see them fleeing and holing up in the bunkers and maybe firing from the inside out. Small quibble. Really, really tiny one. I think it just makes more thematic sense. Then again, they were probably also coming at that from a balance perspective as well. I don't know how vastly that would affect the balance if they just swapped those two things. Could be fairly significant. Now that our Great Hall is done, we're going to populate that gold mine.
Multiple human encampments nearby. There'll also be a goblin laboratory protected by a base to the north.
Interesting. If we can reach the goblins without incident, we can hire their zeppelins to fly us above the pass.
And this is key. Now that we've established a base, the main quest becomes tear your way through the neutral goblin laboratory and hire a couple of zeppelins that we can use to get across a pass for a future mission.
We need more gold. We need more gold.
Now, that's easier said than done because we can see we've scouted the outer edge of this blue human base, so we have to go through at least one of the several human bases
Let's get on.
On this map in order to even approach that. And then there are a lot of really strong neutral creeps guarding that. Like, there are a couple of different camps of neutrals on top of the blue base. This is going to work out super well, though, because Gromm sarcastically told us he would obey our orders, and he's now just kind of going off and doing whatever the fuck he wants. He's heading right for the blue base, so that works out real well for us.
The humans must be slaughtered! War Chief, the Warsong clan is attacking the humans despite your orders!
Damn it. There's nothing to do now but fight. Tighten our defenses. I'll deal with Hellscream later.
So he has a small group of units. We start with this really small group, and we've only now just started producing more. That's okay. We can lose almost all of this. The only two things that I really want to make sure I preserve is the one Kodo Beast and Thrall. That's it. Even the Raiders are not that important because we don't intend to upgrade to Tier 2 and get the Ensnare upgrade, which would be useful, but it's just too much of an investment for one specific key part of the mission. When we could just mass produce headhunters instead for some flying units that we're going to run into near that goblin lab. Now we should, with a few reinforcements coming from the south, we should have enough to just clear this base out, plus all of the dire wolves, which we will upgrade. So Gromm, by being an obstinate piece of shit, has actually helped us out tremendously. Will we be good? Yes, we will. We will not lose this Kodo. The one grunt is actually plenty. And then it's just going to be kind of a slow grind, dealing with all the production facilities. That's okay, though. Oh, and Gromm and one of his grunts is still over there. So that's the other thing about this mission, is you have no control over Gromm whatsoever. So what he will do is, every couple of minutes, he'll amass just a small unit group and go off and attack there's like 4 or 5 different human bases on this map. There's gray, green, blue, I think 1 or 2 others as well. So he'll occasionally just go after them, go off the deep end on his own. And it's not that big a deal. It doesn't actually hamstring you all that much. In fact, the very first attack he makes against this blue base is really, really helpful. The rest of them, he can kind of serve as a distraction sometimes. He can thin out a couple of units that would ordinarily be reserved for attacking your base. It doesn't ultimately matter what he does on this map. The human camps will sometimes attack your base, and their attacks become more frequent. But they're pretty easy to fend off. They never go after him, though, until your base is destroyed. I think. I'm pretty sure. Even the ones in like the northeast, I think they go and make a beeline for your base more to the south instead of Gromm's purple one. So, aside from this, he's more or less a non-factor. Now, we still have the issue of having to grind our way through this base, but we're going to amass a lot of headhunters. And maybe a couple of grunts, because I probably do want some frontliners. There's like 3 camps of neutrals, the final one being all flying units. But the ones leading up to those, the Harpies, the 2 camps leading up to those are all centaurs. So yeah, I probably want a couple of grunts to frontline for me eventually. Like 2 grunts plus a couple of dire wolves. The shield plating will also be tremendously helpful. But the reason, like, this is the whole reason why I went for the range damage upgrade first, is just because the headhunters are so much more important in this mission. And hey, look at that. Our Kodos are totally fine. So let's talk about demons. Between the cutscene last time and all of this that we're getting dropped on us in this mission, we get the impression that the origins of the orcs as we know them and the opening of the Dark Portal probably had something to do with collusion between the orcs back on Draenor and the Burning Legion, much like the Lich King and the Scourge are products of the Legion and were meant to pave the way for their invasion. You can definitely surmise that they had the same intent for the orcs. They were a frontline force meant to just thin things out and clear the way for them to invade in full. The Lich King and the orcs, by the way, have more to do with one another than you might first think, but we'll see that all play out later. They tie things together pretty well. And now that the blue base can't really produce or mine or anything like that, yeah, these couple of grunts, that should be all we need. We can kind of just throw ourselves further north towards the neutrals, starting with the really weak Centaur camp, getting progressively more difficult. In fact, it's the next camp that's actually going to be the big problem. And it might result in us having to reinforce after the next fight. Because, woo, it's rough. It's going to get rough. Luckily, we've not gotten attacked yet, especially since we are sending like single ant lines of units across the map, and it's quite a distance to cover. We're not getting our single groups of headhunters picked off as they cross the map. Just handy. This fight up here, they all benefit from Endurance Aura. There's like several level 6s and a level 8 giving them the aura, so it's tough. Plus he's got that stomp, and it's a choke point. Like, this is all quite rough. We'll lose a decent bit. Plus he has one other ability, and that's an Ankh of Reincarnation, so he'll come back to life in a second. We're gonna bring this Kodo Beast up here and develop this level 4 boy.
The Sun clan is attacking another human encampment.
Perhaps this is our destiny. To go on fighting the humans forever.
Yeah, we lost a fair bit, so we're gonna reinforce. While Gromm goes and just attacks that gray base for no good reason. So, another thing about Kodo Beasts is that they are support units. There's a rider atop the Kodos beating drums that gives everyone around the Kodo a 10% damage buff. It's why keeping this one that we started with alive has been really important. Yeah, there goes Gromm. He'll just respawn at the altar in a little bit. The other thing about the Kodos is that if you get them within melee range, as you saw, they can devour enemy units. And Devour is a super cool ability. It's essentially a damage over time, long-term crowd control. Whatever the Kodo eats starts getting digested, and it takes damage over time inside of the Kodo's stomach. Once it gets digested, the Kodo can devour something else. If the Kodo dies while it's digesting something, the unit that it ate is freed and it gets to go back to doing whatever it wants. I promise you, this is Griffin McElroy's favorite unit in Warcraft 3. We're going to get all the peons together, and we're just going to occupy the bunkers. It kind of sucks that they cut off some of the headhunters, but between the bunkers and just a couple of headhunters and our spiked carapace upgrade, or whatever it's called, the spiked fortifications, spiked barricades completed just in time, this will be easy to hold off. Then we can just send them back to work. Pretty much have all the headhunters we need, so we are ready to go once the ones that were split off from the main group join up with them. Join up with Thrall. So we have access to tier 2. We could have teched to it. We could have upgraded the town hall to it. But that only lets us build raiders and Kodos right now. The Kodo buff doesn't stack, so we don't need to do that since we protected this singular coda we had.
The spirits are
I mainly just wanted headhunters for this main quest, and we have a lot of them, so we should be absolutely fine, plus the chain lightning and the scroll of healing to keep these kind of frail ranged units alive against what is actually a shitload of harpies. This will be fine. This single unit group full of headhunters plus the coda buffing them will be totally okay. They just melt. Even had enough mana for multiple chain lightnings, which is super beneficial.
Let's get on.
And just killing the harpies more or less gives us enough gold to buy the zeppelins that we need outright. We need 2 of them, and the zeppelins then need to survive the ride back to our base. And that's the mission. So we're going to send them straight down the middle.
The spirits are
Gromm has even picked a really good time to attack that light blue base, because this more or less guarantees safe passage for the zeppelins. Means that none of the units from the light blue base are going to be out on the roads while the zeppelins pass by. In fact, even to grant them a little more insurance, it kind of changed their flight plan a little bit, and then send the rest of the group back behind them. They're lagging way behind, because they have to respect the geometry. And they'll get back. The zeppelins will get back to the base pretty much unharmed.
We're under attack!
With these, we can reach Stone Talon Peak by morning.
A true warrior would simply take the pass from the humans.
Have you lost what's left of your mind, Gromm? I gave you a direct order to leave the humans alone. What the hell is wrong with you?
Don't lecture me, pup. The wretches deserved death. Don't you feel it, Thrall? It's like the old days, like the demons are near.
I don't know what's come over you and your men, but this bloodlust is a liability that I can't afford.
I'm sorry, Thrall. You're right. I can handle it.
I can't take that chance, Gromm. Take your clan into the northern forest and build us a settlement. I'll come and find you after we've reached the Oracle.
That's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching. Take it easy. Have a good one.